Okay, how do you make sure your child is up to standard? Wow. Well, my mother used to say to us, you're never going to be up to standard. Not ever. So don't even try. Because you're never ever going to meet the standard. It's going to be a life work. It'll be a lifetime of trying to get up to God's standard, and you're never going to. So what I suggest you do is just keep raising the bar. And you just keep doing your absolute utmost, because that's what he sees, and making sure that you are excelling for him. That's what you do. That's her answer to how to keep up to standard. Now, my mother had a variety of children, some special needs and some absolute genius, triple A, I was going to say. I mean, straight A students. Excelled at everything, you know, whatever sport you do, you just champion, and one of those. And then another one on the other side, that was me, struggling to read, and as you've noticed, and those other difficulties, learning difficulties. Okay, so what was her focus with her children to raise them? Character. Character and God. That was my parents' focus. And so that's what she instilled in us. That you're not going to make it in life if you don't have perseverance. You're not going to make it, you're not going to be an example for him if you are not patient, if you're not kind. I saw a sign somewhere the other day just yesterday, I think, with Jamie. It said, you know, these signs you see all over the place, and it said, there's so much to do in the world, so why not just be kind? Something like that. There's so much to choose from what to do, just be kind. That'll be a good one to decide to be and to do. And it made me think of her. And so if I think of my children and the home educating them, and if I had to even start to think about the stress of trying to keep our daughter up to standard, I would have been a wreck. As it was, just keeping her alive was enough of a trial on a day-by-day basis. She did have a chronic illness, and so she had to have an infusion every day. And so just that in itself was enough of a trial, let alone worrying about the standards of her educational standards. But what did matter was how she was going to enjoy her day, and how we were all going to enjoy her day. The day that we had to face. When we woke up in the morning, we had to get the blood out the fridge. Now, that sounds strange, doesn't it? But sometimes that didn't go too well with me. You know, my flesh got weak, and I'd go and stand and look at that and just want to do something dramatic, you know, like throw it on the floor or something and smash it or something. That's what my flesh did. And I couldn't do that. So because that was my child's daily infusion, I couldn't just discard it because of my own weakness, my own flesh, my own inability to cope. So I had to go to him because there wasn't somebody else to go to. There wasn't a live-in nurse that could go and do the infusion for me. I didn't have help. So I had to go to him. So I would go from that fridge, because I knew I was in trouble because my flesh was reacting, onto the bathroom floor. Say, right, you show me how you're going to do this, because I don't even know why you've given us such a difficult day to face or to be. But you've got a reason. It must be a test. So let's get through this test. But can you show me how you're going to? And then if you speak to Missy today, she will tell you that she experienced Jesus teaching her. Jesus was her teacher. That's what she'll tell you. And what was he teaching her? How to do calculus? I don't think so. And was he teaching her grammar? You know, the difference between a preposition and a pronoun? I don't think so. Rather try patience and perseverance if you're looking for P's. That's what he was teaching her. Did she need to persevere to get through her day? Yes. So that's what he was teaching her. So how to keep her up to standard, I couldn't keep her up to standard because she was 10 years old and she wasn't reading. But she had spent quite a bit of time in comas in her life, and so when she came out of the coma, all we did when she was in a coma was read the word, because what else do you do? Do you take out the maths book when your child's in a coma? I don't think so. So you take out the word and you read aloud, and then she comes out the coma and she starts reciting Psalms to you. Because all you did was read Psalms, because you know what else to do. So she had the word in her while she was having a coma. She didn't have her language lesson. And she didn't have her maths lesson. So when she was 10, I'm sorry, but she was still on blue book or yellow book or whatever book it was. Did it matter? No, not one bit. What mattered is if that was her last day, that day or the next day, what mattered is she knew Jesus. That's what mattered. And I knew that she knew that. I knew that. So when I went through my own trial of cancer, I had cancer for a few years and I was bedridden. What mattered then was not whether Jamie was whatever age he was, 12 or something. What about his maths? What mattered then was that that he knew that I knew that he knew Christ. That's all that mattered. That's all that mattered. If you know that your every day could be your last day as a mother, and you're leaving these children, what is going to matter to God? That they're up to standard? No. What matters to him is, do they know me? That is all that matters to him. Really and truly, I believe I'm speaking the truth when I say that. Yes. So I understand the question. I'm not just watering it down. The importance of the question of keeping up to standard. You must be responsible parents. You must teach your children to be numerate and literate. Why? Why? So you can teach them of him. So they can read the word, so they can be good stewards of what he entrusts to them, and they don't buy a house that's too expensive for them. Okay? That's why you must teach them numeracy, how to budget, how to work hard, why they need to understand maths, why they need to not buy a 25-litre drum of paint when they only need a 5-litre drum to paint this wall. Okay? You don't need, this is a whole lot of different colors. Maybe it was just one color and you mixed it. Your children need to know this. How to do that. How much paint for this wall? That's why I love Steve Demme. He says, right, we're going to apply this maths now. I'm not just teaching you liters and square meterage and how to measure a room just because of maths. I'm teaching it so that you'll be a good steward of what God is going to entrust to you. That's why you learn. That's why you're teaching your children maths. So regarding your consideration about, I don't want my children to be below standard. Well, the standard you need to be looking at is God's standard, not the world's. Because the world's standard is not worth looking at. It's way down here. Your children are past that already. They passed that standard. You wouldn't be sitting in this room if they hadn't. So they already passed. So there. Are your children up to standard? My answer is yes, they are. Amen. When I've had to walk through the valleys we've walked through, it's been by his Spirit. It's been like, well, I don't know. I'm not equipped for this. This is another thing about this topic of standard. If you spend your time trying to prepare your children to make sure they do everything that the world needs them to do, you're wasting your time. Because when you're in school, did they teach you how to download an app? Did you know that there was a thing called an app? And that it was going to do your banking for you on this little gadget, this thing. And that you could go to the bank on this little screen, wherever you are, even in the mountains coming down the passes, and you check the bank. Okay, you just download the app. Do I know how to do that? Did somebody teach me how to do that when I was at school? Did my mother and father teach me that? Did my teachers teach me that? No. What my mother and father taught me to do was persevere, have motivation, make sure you've been an example to others of kindness and generosity. That's what my parents taught me. What did the school teach me? Well, they couldn't really, because I was supposed to, not able to be taught, apparently, in the school system. So they battled to teach me. So my mother realized that they're not able to teach me, so she took me out. And that's why I'm here, being able to help you as well, because I experienced being home educated myself, and then I home educated our children. And so I know people say, you can't really say that home education is the only way. Well, I say it is, because the reason why I say it is because children are supposed to be raised by the parents that God gave them to. That is who must raise them. The parents must not give the responsibility to someone else. God didn't say so. God said to raise your children in the way they should go so they will not depart from it. Now, he didn't say, go and interview the local schools, teachers, this, that, the other, to see who can raise your children for you, for the parents. He didn't say that. He says, I want you parents to raise your children. Now, at schools, I'm not putting them down or anything, because people are doing a very good work, the teachers, and they love those that love the children and giving them the best that they can and educating them and so on. So I'm not saying anything negative about that. I'm just here to tell you that according to my conviction and our conviction, what God has taught us is that we must raise our children for Him. He didn't tell me somebody else must. So